Thank you, Navia, for coming to my show and being my guest. I've asked you to come here because I wanted you to share your experience and knowledge about education. I'm sure there are people out here who can draw from your experience, so that's why I invited you, because I would like, for people to get some sort of knowledge about education. First, I want to ask you, what is your job title?
School counselor.
School counselor.
Yes.
And why did you choose that field?
Initially, I knew that I wanted to work with people, and I knew that I wanted to help people. And when I say initially, I'm talking about undergrad. So my undergrad degree is actually in sociology, just studying how relationships form and the impact of the way people think on society as a whole. And then years later, I went to get my master's in educational counseling.
So you have a master's in?
Master's in educational counseling with a PPS credential, which stands for Pupil Personnel Services. And then I have a bachelor's in sociology.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So what does education mean to you personally?
Wow, it is liberating. I think it's important that we don't just focus and celebrate formal education, because it's people out here in these streets that are learning things, and they have so much to offer, and they may not have the letters behind their name. So education for me is just
That's a good
being,
point.
thank you, being enlightened. It is learning, it is growing, it is never ending, lifelong, from how to cook to molecular biology. It's all encompassing, it's ever evolving, it's a lot, it's life.
I like that answer. What do you believe is important for communities to know about and be aware of when it comes to education?
That it takes the entire community. You learn, just like I mentioned, people out, on the streets. You may learn from the elder at church, or you may learn from your neighbor down the street, whether it be Girl Scouts, whether it be summer programs. Of course, the formal sit down in the classroom, you have a seat, you learn from your teacher. I think the community just needs to be aware that even when we aren't directly teaching, we're educating students on lessons of how to behave when it comes to maybe stealing. If you have a robbery in your community, that's something that the community is teaching that child, that person, that it's okay to do. So the community should be aware that we all have a responsibility to educate people, and it falls on us as a whole as well as individual.
I really like that perspective on community education. Do you feel that communities are educating intentionally? Because you kind of talked about, sort of, well, if you have a robbery, then that's a chance to, educate, or it's not necessarily intentional or purposeful. Do you find that there is intentional community education?
There definitely is, and I don't want to sell anybody short, but I think we take for granted the lessons that we teach, whether it be within our own home, with our own children, maybe things that we say, certain language that we use that we tell our kids they can't use. I think that, and I'm guilty of it as well, I think that shows a lack of responsibility on our behalf, because we're teaching them by our actions. So sometimes we can do things unintentional, or things that we want our children or other people to live up to that we won't necessarily embody ourselves.
Definitely. I mean, people speak a whole lot and say, do this or don't do that, or do this and don't do that, and do this and don't do that. And then their actions are totally different. Being authentic and being genuine is, to me, is the best teacher.
Yeah.
And as we learn, and even in our vulnerabilities or our mistakes, if we're being authentic, that's, I think, is the best message.
Yeah. When you say being vulnerable, I think that's key, because people are willing to, some people are willing to share their own personal journeys, if you're kind of willing to receive it. Sometimes when people are defensive, or they act like they know everything, then people are kind of like, well, I ain't saying nothing to you,
Yeah.
But if you allow yourself to be receptive to what other people have to share, you might be surprised at things that you would pick up.
Absolutely. how do you think people can actually be proactive in being educated in their community? Because there are some people who don't have the opportunity or privileges or resources to get a formal education for whatever reason. So what advice can you give or suggestions can you give?
Well, I would say you should have a mentor. Always have a mentor, somebody who personifies what you want to represent, what you hope to become someday. And again, that could be professionally, it could be in their personal walk, whatever it is. You need to have somebody that can kind of give you a picture of what you could be striving for. I am 38 years old, so I kind of have come into adulthood with the internet. I can't imagine the benefit of having it, also some drawbacks, but definitely the benefit of having it at 10, 11, 12, where you can just go online and Google all of these things, that are in your community, outside your community, and just opportunities. So I would say make use of the internet, even social media. You could be following the President of the United States, if you so choose, or whomever, somebody that you want to be like. You can follow people and find out what they're into. What are their interests? How do they spend their downtime? Different things like that. That's another resource. The company that you keep, if your friends aren't going anywhere, then you probably won't be going anywhere.
That's a big one.
You need to be mindful of and I'm not saying that you can't have love or, have some type of relationship with people, but you do need to be mindful of who you allow in your personal space and to impact your thoughts and your visions.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. You mentioned social media and, the internet and things like that. Pros and cons. As far as when you say community, I'm thinking social. I'm thinking getting engaged, personal, feedback, one-on-one, like we're doing right now. That, I think, is missing a lot. And, you can learn a lot from social interaction. What do you think about a balance in that as far as utilizing? Because I understand utilizing social media and, the internet and things like that is an advantage, but also just having a balance with, getting back to socialization.
Yeah. Well, definitely safety is always important, because I think we take for granted how much we share when we're checking in on social media or different kind of things like that, just making sure that we're safe in our social media use. And finding time to connect with people in the physical, so that you can actually, there's benefits to getting a hug from somebody or a physical touch from somebody. So not taking that for granted as well. Just not using too much time on social media, but utilizing it as a tool.
Okay. So let's talk about college and university. Was it easy going to college to earn a degree for you?
Easy? Definitely not. I am a first generation college student, which means that neither of my parents received a bachelor's degree in the United States. So they didn't really know how to navigate the system. They actually grew up in the South, and for them, graduating high school was like, you did it, you know what I'm saying? So, and which I applaud them, because I stand on their shoulders, regardless of if they have a degree or not. So anyway, they didn't know the journey. They just knew that they wanted the best for their children. They knew that they would support me as much as they could. So when I got there, I attended the University of Southern California, which was way out of my price range, and I still have the loans today. But that's a different conversation, because I pay responsibly. But I knew that I wanted a big school. I knew that I wanted to be in the city, and I knew that I wanted to not be too far from home. It's only an hour away. So when I got there, it was important to me to make a home away from home. So I've been in church since as long as I can remember. I joined the gospel choir like my sophomore year. Culture and those types of things are important to me. So anything and everything Black, I was joining that, because I wanted to be around people that looked like me, because we were only like 4% or something like that.
Which is very small.
Yes, it is. It is. and we're talking 97, fall 97 is when I started. So those types of things, I made sure that I worked. I have been working since I was 16. And so I feel old saying, but I actually caught the Metrolink because I didn't have a card. Caught the Metrolink before school started to find a job on campus.
Wow.
Which, again, if it was 2018, I would have Googled something. I would have probably applied for my phone and been done. But no, I had to physically get up, catch the Metrolink, pound the pavement at the campus to look for a job. So that was another way that I wanted to create a home away from home, because I wanted to have some kind of income. So that was pretty much my college experience. I struggled. I had to take a remedial English course because I didn't test high enough, which I don't know if that helped me or not, but you know, I still ended up with the degree, so we're gonna say it helped. And
well,
that was it.
Like, I mean, your will and determination just to, you know, talking about your parents' background, not having any degrees and just having high school, you know, degree or diploma, I should say. And I don't want to even say just having a high school diploma, because I think that any education and anything that you successfully finish is, you know, a big deal. An accomplishment and to be congratulated. But you going on to a higher education and being determined to make your own money and things like that, where did that even come from? Knowing your background and then being successful, you know, that motivation and that drive, where did that come from? You know, because a lot of people can use that as an excuse. Well, I don't have this, I don't have that, my parents didn't do this, and you know, that type of thing, and then stay in their, what is that, like their box of limits, yeah. And so what made you?
I would have to say, well, my faith in God. I just leaned on him, and I'm just like, okay, God, what do you want from me? I knew that I liked having different things.
And how old were you?
When I accepted faith, or at the time of what?
Well, thinking that, you're saying, you know, my faith.
At 17, you know, just starting my undergraduate journey, at that time, I was a little bit more devout, I guess I can say, and I guess less distracted would probably be more appropriate. These days, I'm like, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, so I'm like, oh, Jesus, I got to find my time to get with the Lord. But then, you know, you don't really have as many things pulling on you and vying for your time. So I was able to be a little bit more consecrated and to be more purposeful in my time with him. So that my faith definitely helped me. I just depended on God to give me direction and to tell me what I was supposed to do. I just knew that I wanted things, and I felt like I liked the fact that I didn't have to work, but it was a choice. So I don't take it for granted when I interact with students or with people that actually have to work, like maybe they're in foster care or, you know, those types of things. It's just like, wow, you know that the buck stops with you. You don't have mom, you don't have dad to kind of lean on. So I appreciated that and tried to use it to my advantage, because I know my dad would have tried to, you know, move heaven and earth to give me things, but I wanted it for myself. So
what a wonderful dad you have.
Girl, don't get me to crying.
In your opinion, what characteristics should be present in a good university?
Interesting. They should have an awareness of their student body and what their needs are, and find ways to connect. So like I mentioned, I joined the gospel choir. If you have Christians that are there, you have Muslims that are there, or whatever the faith is, they should be aware and they should support them. And then I mentioned ethnicity is important. So there was, like, for engineers, they had National Society of Black Engineers, they had a chapter there. There was a group that started based on one of the first black graduates at the university, or early black graduates at the university, that just promoted higher education. So just creating an avenue for them to be able to connect and fund it, because it's one thing to say, oh yeah, you can do it, but then it's another thing if you don't ever give them any money for different ways that they want to connect with each other.
Okay, and you mentioned the student body. So for those out there that don't really know the operation of student body, what that entails. Can you kind of explain that and why that would be important?
Sure. So I mentioned, I really don't, I guess I should have done it's like somewhere from 4 to 8% we were during the time that I first started at USC. So when I talk about the student body, that's say 4 to 8% of the population that is Black. Now, obviously, the Black experience isn't the same for everyone, but there are some things that you can share or offer that may unify them. And then, whether it be based on race or religion or, first generation college students, those types of things. So just being aware of the actual students, the demographics of the students that attend the university.
Why is an education counselor important?
It's important because I think that especially, with all of these school shootings and different things, there is so much that is going on in the process of matriculating through high school specifically, that it's easy to get caught up in that and lose focus of where it is that you're trying to go. So you have somebody in your corner that you can come to or that may seek you out to say, okay, hey, you got this grade in this class, what's going on? And maybe you say, okay, it's because I'm having issues at home. Maybe it's something as simple as you just need to stay to tutoring. You need somebody to remind you, hey, go to tutoring, hey, go to tutoring. Maybe I need to get on the phone and call your mom and say, hey, did you know this is going on with, your son or your daughter? So having an advocate, someone that has walked in their shoes as a high school student, maybe not having the same experience as them, but somebody who, has graduated from high school, has had the formal education of how to support students social, emotionally, and also academically. So just an advocate.
So you mentioned, school shootings, and I want to be clear on how you're correlating the two.
Okay.
Or, making that relevant in.
Thank you, because I did just kind of throw that out recklessly. Okay, sorry. So I mentioned school shootings because it's been heavy on my heart with everything that's going on. People are actually afraid to come to school. And that shouldn't be the case. You're just trying to go and learn something new, and you can barely focus in your math class because you hear something go off, or I don't know, a car backfire or anything like that, and you're thinking your life is in danger. It's just that the environment that we're in now, specifically in the U.S., it can be stressful, it can be high anxiety, and so you need someone or people, a community, to make you feel like, even though, we can't guarantee safety. Obviously, we can't guarantee that nothing will happen, but we can do everything that we can to try and make it as safe as possible and to make you feel like your safety is our number one priority. I think the idea of from what I've read and seen on the news and everything, a lot of the perpetrators were like bullied, or they felt isolated, and those types of things. Like when I talked about being aware of the student body, you need to figure out a way to be able to connect students, because students that are involved in extracurricular activities, the research shows that they perform better academically.
So why should students utilize their education counselor? You may have sort of answered that, but I'm not sure that students really understand the importance of an education counselor, or why they should be looking forward to speaking to one.
Yes. Yes. Things are changing. Decisions are being made at like the California State Universities, at the University of California's, and so our job is to try and go and get as many resources to bring them back to the schools so that we can disperse the information to the students, to the parents, to everyone. So you want somebody to support you in, obviously, I'm not going to know everything, but you want somebody to support you in educating, okay, there's a pitfall here, you need to be aware of this. If you get a C in the second semester of that math class, you won't necessarily have to take it again, and you can still meet your A through G requirements. What's the difference between A through G, or a UC or CSU, and what is a good SAT score, and all of the different things, because especially for people of color, because you may not have parents who got degrees, or you may not have all the resources available to you in your community over the summer to do whatever research or just to know.
Yeah, the knowledge.
Yes, exactly. Because sometimes I find this in my own work with students of color, they get to 9th, 10th, 11th grade and they're like, okay, I want to go to college. Whereas somebody else been groomed since they were in 3rd grade, to do it. And so by the time they're leaps and bounds ahead of somebody, another student.
And then by 11th or 12th grade, they're finding out, oh, I don't have this amount of units, or I don't have these credits or whatever. And they're trying to play catch up. So it is definitely important.
Yeah.
What information do you share with students as an education counselor?
I share scholarship opportunities. When I'm on social media myself or when I'm in various circles, I hear of different opportunities for internships or
That's cool.
scholarships, anything like that. I try to share it and I really try to use mass communication, so email, social media, those types of things, as well as the individual one-on-one, just so students are aware of what opportunities are there and how the village, so to speak, can support them.
Okay. And then what 3 to 5 major questions, or however many you can think of, should students be proactive about asking their education counselor?
Okay. How many credits do they have? Which they can get a transcript and see how many credits. They should probably know how to read their transcripts. I tell students, if you're trying to graduate and you need, say, 220 credits in specific areas, then you need to know where you are along the way. It's like showing up to a party, it costs $10 to get in and you don't know how much money you got in your pocket. You wouldn't do that. You would know, okay, I got to make sure I got my $10 so you're not standing at the door looking crazy. When graduation comes and you ain't got your credits, you're going to be standing at the door looking crazy. So you always need to know how many credits you have and how far or how close you are to where you should be as you are going through. So how many credits you have, knowing how to read a transcript, that probably aligns with that. You can inquire about scholarship opportunities if you have a career center at your campus. The public library is a resource. Your church may have opportunities. So what scholarships are available, and utilize email, electronic mail, and know how to send an email too. Like use punctuation, use those types of things, grammar.
Yeah, you found you said.
When students will send emails and the whole email is in the subject line, hey, I was wondering, can you write me a letter of recommendation and I need it by tomorrow? Those types of things. No, cut it.
Wow. Well, that's interesting, especially with them growing up in learning, using the computer and things like that, that they would not.
But they don't use it sometimes formally. They use it like text talk. Instead of YOU, it's the letter U, and emojis and those types of things, which I'm not taking away from the emoji because I appreciate them too. But there's a time and a place. So knowing how to utilize email.
Right. Yes, that's
it's something
important.
simple. Yeah.
For communities that may not have access to an education counselor for whatever reason, do you have any suggestions of what those students can do to get the information?
So universities will have programs like TRIO programs, Upward Bound, those types of things that you can apply to, or Blue Education, those types of programs that support
Blue
students.
Education?
Yes, shout out.
Yes, mention that on another show.
Yes. So various programs that they receive funding to basically help you to succeed academically and overall.
Very, very good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So utilizing that. I am actually looking to do some independent academic consultant work.
Yay.
So that is in the works, and I will be revealing that soon.
Yay.
Just because it's a passion of mine, and I have some things that I want to share, and eventually I'm going to be making some coin off of it, but I'm going to start out, doing it pro bono, so I can kind of just get a feel of, what the work entails and how much and what the time frame is and those types of things. So yes.
Awesome.
But that anybody else who may be more established in the independent academic advisement, they will be more costly, but they are a resource. Summer programs, I refer to church a lot. They have some things, and some people that are within the church that may be willing to volunteer a couple weeks here or what have you. When I mentioned having a mentor, pick their brain of who they know. Maybe they work somewhere, they offer summer opportunities, or know of some resources as well.
Okay. And just, asking a lot of questions. I ask a lot of questions.
Yes.
Just getting out there, networking, asking questions,
Yes.
involved in your community, all of that.
I recommend that.
Yeah. All right. And, you will always hear someone say, well, college just isn't for everyone. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. Not everybody, especially right out of high school, will go straight to a university or go straight to college. But just having a plan, having a path. So whether it be trade school, I've had conversations with various people who are in trades that are saying they're not promoting career technical education is the term. And they're not promoting people to become a carpenter or a welder or those types of things. Because, and especially when we talk about minorities having jobs where they're using their hands, there's a whole different historical context there. But I think that you just need to have something to be able to support yourself, your livelihood, your interests. I saw on the news where they were I think the young man was 30 years old and he sued his parents for trying to kick him out or something like that. Because you want to be able to support yourself, and you want to be able to have income. So whether it be developing a trade, whether it be going to community college and even transferring to a university, whether it be going to the military, whatever it is, something that's a viable opportunity so that you can build upon and earn money for it.
Okay, college may not be for everyone, but what about education?
Oh, okay. Yes. Education is for everyone.
For everyone.
All the time.
All the
Sorry,
time, all day,
yes.
every day.
Yes. Please refer to my first statement that education is lifelong. You're always learning, and you're trying to become the best you that you can be. And even the best you at 15 looks different than the best you at 30. So it's constantly something that you're always becoming and striving toward.
Absolutely. All right. So just to break up the monotony of things, we have 3 bonus questions there.
Okay.
That you could draw from. Actually, you're going to answer all 3, but just,
How about this one first? What are the differences between a community college and a university? So community colleges offer trades, as we were referring to. I visited San Bernardino Valley College in San Bernardino, and their automotive program, I was really blown away. And they were just talking about, all of the benefits and what they provide through that program. So they offer trades, they offer associate's degrees, and they also offer you the opportunity to transfer to a university. University offers the bachelor's degree, master's, and then the graduate, the doctoral degrees that you can get from there. And as far as like the size of the school, you can have some small universities, but usually universities will tend to be larger than community colleges. And you may hear people refer to a 2-year or a junior college, which is kind of an antiquated term, but that they're referring to community colleges. And then the 4-year university, they're referring to university campuses.
Okay, and would you say the experience is different from a community college and a university? Which experience would you recommend?
Well, my personal experience was a university, and I lived on campus, and I really liked that. If you can afford it, because finances seems to be the biggest thing. If you can't afford it, I recommend it. University all the way. Yes, I do. The experience is extraordinarily different. Yes, it is. Great atmosphere. And so, that's probably the biggest difference. And people most likely are more connected because they live on campus. Mm-hmm. So they're more likely to get involved in extracurricular activities, and that type of thing. And networking is different. Although you can do the same in community college, but networking, I think like you said, it's the camaraderie, just the unity, the feeling. Yeah. It's a whole different, like home away from home type feel at a university that you may not get at a community college. Okay, next question.
question.
Next question. Tell about your best experience in college. Man. Okay, we talking about fun, or we talking about Noaveyar Daily at the time, BA?
Whatever you want to share.
Okay, well, fond memories that I have, probably are, that was when I started becoming a seat filler. And I would go to these award shows, and I liked mixing and mingling with the stars, and some of them were actually cool. And it just let me know that they really are real people. So I'm 18, 19, you know, going to Soul Train, Music Awards, or different shows like that. And I have fun. You get to get dressed up and you go for free, and you kind of are working because you're filling seats as they go receive awards. But it was fun. I recommend it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And you relate that to your experience with, because you were in college?
Because I was in college,
okay.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it was during that time. I guess because I was in LA and I was like amongst, you know, the whole Hollywood scene. Okay. But if I were to give my dignified best college experience, I would probably say studying Spanish, which when I went in, yo estudié español en mi clase de escuela secundaria, pero cuando empecé en la universidad, I started as a Spanish minor.
Okay.
I started as a Spanish minor.
And you did the Universidad pretty, you know, because I took a Spanish class, and when any English-speaking first language person would say Universidad, the instructor would get so upset. So I think you kind of pulled it off.
Yes. So in high school, I took 4 years of Spanish. And I'm like, and it made such a difference, which teachers really do have a lot on their shoulders. They can really, you know, turn a student one way or another. My Spanish 1 teacher, shout out to Dr. Craig if he were to ever see this. I had a Spanish 1 and Spanish 2 in high school.
Watch the show.
Right, exactly. And he just really influenced me. He really just challenged me to learn Spanish. So went all the way up through 4 years, got to the university. I'm like, I'm minoring in Spanish. So my first year, I was like, yes, sí se puede. You know, I'm all excited. Second year, I'm like, sí, se puede? Oh my gosh, because they had me reading novels and stuff like that. And I was like, this is college. I'm not trying to study this hard. So, I undeclared the minor, which to this day, I still wish I had navigated that differently because, you know, of course, I'm using it when I'm dealing with students, with parents. Actually, my caseload now is of English learners, so I could have been further along than what I am. But anyway, it was a good experience to study the culture, Latin culture, to learn the language, to reinforce different things that I learned in high school and learn new things. So
okay, and undeclared means
so basically I had committed to saying I will finish a minor in Spanish, and once they had me reading all these novels, I said I will not finish a minor in Spanish. So I had to actually go and fill out paperwork to say, hey, I changed my mind, I'm copping out. So try not to do that and try to finish, you know, your commitment.
Right. Okay.
What are the pros and cons of college? Whew. So I mentioned a little thing called student loans. That would definitely be a con. Because and not having a lot of financial literacy and just kind of just signing the dotted line for every loan that was thrown at me because I was trying to afford it. It was $30,000 at the time that I was there, and now it's like 50 or something crazy to live on campus. So that's a con for me, and I'm actually still dealing with it, trying to figure out how to pay these people back. So if somebody is seeing this and they want to help me to resolve some student loan debt, holla at your girl, Noaveyar Lee, look me up. But that would be a con for me. A con, you really have to structure your time if you want to work optimally. So
is that a con?
I think it can be because, you don't necessarily get, if you really want to get the best grades and get the most out of, you know, the academic setting of college, you can't be turning up at every single party. You can't, you're going to have to put some limitations, and you can't partake in everything. So, but you're at your height. You're like 18, 19 years old, so it don't get no better than, you know, than that time. But it's like, oh, wait, but I have to study, though. I have to write a paper or whatever. So it is a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice of your time. And even like in grad school later, I went a couple years after undergrad. So I was like 26 or something like that. Again, still kind of in my 20s and wanting to do different things, but I couldn't because I was studying. So it's a sacrifice of your time.
But it's the benefit.
So then the pros, yes. The pros are just the opportunities. I have a sister who recently finished her bachelor's degree, and just the conversations that I had with her about different job opportunities.
Congratulations to you.
Yes, thank you. Shout out, Kendra. The job opportunities that are available to her. And, you know, when you're looking at different requirements, a lot of jobs are wanting degrees for things that maybe 20 years ago would not have wanted them. So the job opportunities, of course, I'm a proponent of learning. So the things that you learn, just the different things that you learn from different people, even sitting in the classroom from your professor, from reading the books that you have to read, all of those things you acquire knowledge and you learn more about yourself. It allows you to reflect on, you know, where you've come from, what your story is, how this world impacts you, those types of things. Just the pro is just, I like to be able to say, Noaveyar Lee, Master of Arts, put some respect on my name. That's a pro right there. And even I struggle with, do I want to go back for my doctorate? Do I, you know, I say that I want to, but again, the time commitment is real, so I don't know, we'll see. But like I said, I'm never going to stop learning, regardless of if I go back or not.
Right.
So.
Awesome. Okay,
Yes.
we're going to switch gears a little bit and now get into knowing you a little bit better.
Okay.
So I'd like to know what inspires you.
I am the mother of a 3-year-old, and most recently, she is my biggest inspiration. I just want to make the world better for her. I want to make her life worthwhile. I want her to know, you know, the history and the family and the shoulders of giants that she stands upon. And just that she knows how much I love her, and I want to be a better me for her.
Oh, Noaveyar. I just said because you know how I feel. You. Wow, you're a mommy.
So yeah, that's my biggest inspiration. But other things, I talked about my relationship with God. That definitely inspires me to not give up when things in life seem crazy. And the fact that he's brought me from, you know, challenges and struggles before, I'm like, why wouldn't he do it again, you know? And just life inspires me to see what the outcome is going to be, to see how I can do better, bigger, greater things.
Interesting. A lot of people answer these questions and then lead me into the next question, which is finish the sentence. Life is
lit, if I can say that. Like it's exciting. It's full of unknowns. It is it can be fulfilling at times, it can be draining, it can be happy, it can be sad. It's lit. It's multifaceted.
okay. How do you define success?
I would define success as it's definitely something personal. Because I got up and cooked breakfast for my family this morning.
What?
And anybody that knows me knows that is huge. So it's it's personal. Not that I can't cook. Let me go on record for saying that. It's just that I choose not to. But it is just personal growth and development and evolving into something different and doing things that you previously thought you couldn't, or maybe have been told that you couldn't, or that you shouldn't, you know, whether it be for gender. I have these conversations often of things that women should or shouldn't do for whatever reason. That's growth, that's success. When you're able to defy stereotypes and challenge yourself and, move mentally into a different place, or, when you actually get a trophy or degree or whatever for things that you accomplish.
What did you cook? Just out of curiosity.
I made pancakes, fried some chicken, because I wasn't trying to really, I don't have the big waffle iron. Chicken and waffles would have been right, but I did chicken and pancakes, don't judge me. Some eggs, and I did some bacon just in case, somebody wanted something different. And that was pretty much it.
Okay. Thanks for sharing. So would you say that you're successful?
I would say I am, but I'm also evolving into success, because there are many chapters of my life that have yet to be written. There are many things that I want to accomplish. So even though I feel successful and satisfied, I also look at myself, like when I talk about motherhood, I'm like, oh Lord, I don't know what I'm doing. How can I, I'm raising this child, and every step of the way I'm like, am I doing this right? Am I doing it? So even though you may experience success in certain areas of your life, in other areas you'll be reminded that you're still a novice. Right. And motherhood is one of them for me.
Okay, so who do you want to be?
I want to be the best me. And like I said, the best me yesterday is different than the best me today. I want to always be willing to learn and to teach, to share and to receive. And I want to be in a position to do so.
Awesome. I love that. Okay, what is one thing you've learned in the past 30 days?
What is this? May 26th.
Nice
So we're going
watch.
back to, thank you. We're going back to April 26th. I learned.
You got real technical with it.
Because I have to think of what have I done since April. So I learned that the gas tank, so there's a little, how when you're driving, you have a little gas tank there where you can see where the gas is. And there's an arrow that points to where the actual tank is on the side of the car. And I never knew that.
Wait, what?
Okay. So yes, the gas gauge, right? So there's an actual gas pump where it has the lever that goes from full to empty.
Yeah.
On the pump, there's a little arrow that will direct you to either your right or your left, which tells you where your pump is on the car physically.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
is
me
that
either.
on every car?
I believe so.
Interesting. I'll have to look.
Yeah.
Check that out. All right. What is one thing you hear most people say about you?
That I love your confidence. That's because so I went to the Bahamas a couple days ago.
Yes, how did that go?
It was fun. It was super fun. And I wore a bathing suit. I thought, you going to the beach and the pool, that's what you do, is wear a bathing suit. But and then I posted it on social media, and then I got a couple people saying, I really love your confidence. Oh my goodness. So by the time I got the third or fourth, I love your confidence, I'm like, dang, are they saying you really look hideous and you still wear it anyway? Or is it really a compliment? So I choose to take it as a compliment. But I do hear that like, wow, good for you that you would wear a bathing suit, whatever that means. So yeah.
Right. I love how you said that you choose to take it as as a compliment. Mm-hmm. But that says a lot about your confidence.
Right. You're right. That is true.
But also your perspective on life and your success in your life. So, yeah. That's awesome. I love that. So what is a goal or project you're working on? And you kind of already mentioned something.
Yes. So Speak Easy the Noaveyar Way is my business that is underway. Yes. Yes.
Well, I like the name. Tell us what it's about.
Thank you. So it is your personal invitation to enlightenment. And so one of the services that I know we will provide will be academic advisement. I'm not sure of all of the different opportunities that we will offer, but academic advisement will be one. We'll hold workshops just to educate the community. My desire is that everyone would learn and grow and prosper. Excuse me, to, as I have said several times in our discussion, to be their best them. So education is what I know, so that's where I'll start, but I know I'll branch out to different things. I'm about self-empowerment. I'm about encouraging young girls to see themselves as leaders and not just as, somebody that has to stay in the background to maybe be seen and not heard. Just about, it's your personal invitation to enlightenment.
Nice. Love that. How do you invest in you?
Whew. Things like going to the Bahamas. I think it's important to get away. I invest in me by giving to others because I learn from other people. It is gratifying to give to other people. By trying, and I say trying, to not always have the answers. So I can receive something or learn or, grow. That's how I invest in myself. And just financially trying to set aside a coin, which probably within the last 10 years I've learned. In the process, I've improved my credit and tried to save up for things that actually have a little savings tucked away. And that's a physical, manifestation of me investing in myself because the way that I'm living now, there was a time actually when I was on, it was a grant that was funding my job. And so I was in the district and then I was out of the district for a year. So I actually didn't have a job. So that was an eye-opening experience of, okay, the experience that you're having financially specifically right now is not going to always be. Or you don't know when it could change. So you kind of have to save up for a rainy day.
Okay. And you kind of answered this a little bit, but how do you or how have you invested in the community or others?
I invest in the community by having relationships with people in the community. I try to know what's going on and maybe visit periodically or just have some type of connection to know what's going on and finding worthwhile projects to send money towards. Maybe
don't forget about Black graduation.
Yes.
I mention that.
Yes. So in 10? I lost track. Yeah, I think it was 2010. Myself and two other young ladies started what is now National Black Grad is an organization that is an entity of its own, and it now hosts a Black Grad. But I was a part of the inaugural group that started that. So just because I want to celebrate our successes and just see people do big things. When you thrive, I thrive.
Awesome. All right, lastly, you've already given shout outs, like 2 of them. Give a shout out to someone that you think is special, important, significant in your life.
I'm shouting out you, Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee is my husband. It'll be 6 years in July. We have had ups and downs and still have them. And some of them are good and some of them not so good. But it's an amazing journey to be in love with you and to be loved by you. So I'm giving you a shout out.
Mr. Lee. All right, and state an affirmation.
When you learn, you teach.
When you learn, you teach. And can you state it in a way that you're a personal affirmation?
So it's not, you don't just acquire these degrees or this knowledge or whatever it is to just I've heard somebody refer to it as kind of just be burping all over the place. Like you have so much knowledge and you keep it all inside. No, you want to be able to share it.
Wow.
I know. Sorry if y'all eating lunch right now. But you want to be, you get it, and then you want to be able to share it appropriately and give it to people and pass it on to the next generation, because I'm not always going to be here. I may not always be in my right mind to be able to say, hey, this is what you do. So I want to pass it on as I acquire it.
So basically you're saying, I learn.
So I teach.
So I teach.
Yes.
So again, you say that.
Okay. I learn. So I teach.
Awesome. And then lastly, make a declaration. You undeclared something
20 years ago.
Today,
Right.
make a declaration.
I declare to be true to my commitments and to not waver based on popular opinion. I'm not saying that I never will, but it's important to me that I stand on what I believe in.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being here. Did you have fun?
I did.
Were
I
you
had
comfortable?
fun. I was comfortable.
Good.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much for being here, Noaveyar.
Yes.
I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thank you
Thank
for watching.
The question reads, what are the differences between a community? The question reads, what are the differences between a community college and a university?
Get it right. Get it right.
That, please.
Right. I love how you said that you choose to take it as a compliment. As a compliment. Mm-hmm. But that says a lot about your company.
Right. You're right. You're right.